Hello, it's me, Paweł, with a much overdue update. First of all, I owe you an apology for going radio silent for quite some time. Over the past few months, I've been juggling quite some stuff, and I've come to some important insights I want to share with you. I didn't actually set up any posting schedule here on YouTube, but still I felt like the tempo is not up to the expectations, at least the ones I set for myself. No excuses will change that. You've been patient, and the least I can do is to be transparent about why updates slowed down and share what's next. I will share some of my personal insights on the game dev industry condition and perhaps complain a bit, but first, some good stuff. What you will see in the background of this video, instead of my not so interesting face, are some very interesting games that were created during last year's Made with Default Jam. I promised to make a video with the winners, but up to now didn't manage to do so. So please take a look at those great titles. There were some clever ideas implemented and the winners definitely deserve your attention. Plus, mark your calendars. Made with Default Jam 2025 kicks off September 1st, so if you want to have some fun together, join us and tinker with a game in Default to have a chance to win some great rewards. This year, again, the Default Foundation supports our annual community jam with Steam gift cards, and I put a few more prizes to the pool, including useful software or a complete course for Default and game dev on Zenva. The jam itself overlaps with some other great game jam periods, and if only their respective rules don't forbid attending multiple ones and you'll suit your game to the themes, you can submit your game made with default to them too. It's a win-win situation, I guess, so start preparing for the jam up front, making some assets, codebase, or writing down some ideas and designs before it even begins. When Made with Default Jam starts, you will have 2 weeks to submit a game, so I hope it's enough time to make something decent. Last year, we experimented with some speakers giving talks during the jam to our small and humble yet cheerful and supportive community. Most of the presentations you can watch on this YouTube channel. And this year I also invited amazing devs and the Default team members themselves to make some speeches for you. So tune in and wait for the updates to be revealed on who will be talking about what and when very soon. Other amazing news are that I started working with the Default games this year. It's a company created by Bjorn and Matthias, the core of the Default team, aimed to make games with the Default game engine, which actually benefits Default itself, and it allows them to create another source of income eventually while keeping the Default free for all without monetizing on anything for Default like SDKs or so. The team at Default Games is very talented and I already learned a ton from them and sharpened my skills. We are growing and we make some amazing stuff there. For example, the Mad Skills Motocross 2 by Turborilla, ported by us from mobile to web and published this year on Pokey. Having such an experience is crucial for me wanting to grow in game dev. That's not all. I took the game dev career really seriously, and now I also do some other professional stuff like creating games for clients, code development, outsourcing and porting on all platforms. All this work is hidden behind NDAs, but the experience I get stays and it's fruitful. In the past 2 years, I hit the road and started attending many game dev related conferences and events, Digital Dragons, DevGam, Game Industry Conference, Game Access and so on, promoting and pitching my dream game Witchcrafter Empire Legends and making new connections and friends. It's all the way to establish a firm position in game dev and be able to sustain my own studio. Because my ultimate goal is to make games for the rest of my life. Tell stories, fulfill some kind of a mission I feel internally to deliver some memorable moments, enjoyable experiences and meaningful stories through games, while still being able to provide for my family. But I don't want to go too personal. Family time is priceless. The best advice anyone can ever give you is to never underestimate it. You have to live your life first. I also don't know if the path I took will grant me a possibility to do so, but I know already it's to be a long path. especially looking at the game dev industry condition and the vast amount of games released yearly. It's very challenging to make games nowadays and make money out of this. You know, they say game dev is great to become a millionaire, only if you're a billionaire before. So good advice is, if you enjoy just playing games and having money in your pocket, stay on the couch and enjoy them. Yes, you can try making a game to know by your very own self if you enjoy creating them. If you do so, then good luck and welcome to the team. I'll try to help you with all my knowledge, but bear in mind you've been warned. Be a strategist, be well prepared, and be strong. Become the next success story, not a failure. I'm so concerned because I stepped into the least comfortable pile of mud. I poured a ton of energy into my own project, Witchcrafter Empire Legends, my dream game, a mix of Metroidvania and a story-rich, non-linear RPG where you try to harness elemental power and live in a Slavic-inspired dark fantasy world full of dangers, not only direct. It's an overkill. Over the past year, I've learned firsthand why securing funding for 2D platformers and Metroidvanias is an uphill battle. The market is oversaturated, returns are unpredictable, and investors are wary of volatile genres. Even though I won the public pitch at the DevGam with my Witchcrafter, received a great feedback from publishers, highlighting they would even invest in anything I'm saying literally, got real interest in the game, and talked with publishers attempting to really secure investors for a platformer, proved far tougher than I expected, since investors directly told me multiple times that platformers are no longer viewed as a safe bet and that they're hesitant to commit to the genre. There is also a lot of my fault in it, and not only mine. What I underestimated was the fact that forging a sustainable game dev career demands strategic networking, skills I undervalued in my early days. So I am trying to follow up and cultivate at meetups and conferences. I believe a chat at a conference and follow-ups led to, for example, my Refold Games collaboration or other interesting things, far more than any cold email ever did. Reflecting on the mistakes I made, like underestimating marketing and networking, or the enormous scope creep I managed to pile up for the Witchcrafter, even though on the surface it's a tiny platformer. Today's storefronts are flooded with platformers and Metroidvanias, making it almost impossible for a new title to stand out. Even if your mechanics innovate, players and press often dismiss another platformer as derivative, so you face a steep uphill climb for visibility. Investors see these oversupplies as a red flag. Why even back a game that may never break through when funds are limited and competition fierce? Unlike live service or AAA franchises that promise recurring revenue, single-player platformers hinge entirely on launch performance. For investors, that unpredictability makes it tough to justify even modest budgets, let alone multi-million-dollar commitments. Even studios like Heart Machine, creators of Hyper Light Drifter and Solar Ash, have turned to Patreon. If such established and talented teams are struggling and looking for all other alternative incomes, how can starting indies sustain? But you may say, you don't need an investor to make an indie game. And you're right, you can make something smaller, make it after hours for free. Start with something at least, release anything. Cut costs to minimum. All of the experienced devs share the same insights, and I'm starting to understand it. People are rapidly building vertical slices of core mechanics to test market appetite on social media and game jams. Only then iterate based on feedback rather than gut feel. I think I cheated myself, believing I will be another indie success story like Stardew Valley or Minecraft even. But I grew up and I'm a bit more realistic, a bit more cautious. I learned to balance passion with reliability, but still didn't give up on my dreams and will continue to lie to myself that I will make great stuff to keep my head motivated and in the end, eventually, maybe, make it my reality. Witchcrafter Empire Legends has always been my dream project, And that is another problem. It was with me from the very beginning, from childhood. It's a world in my head, not a game. Only recently, actually, I started shaping it as a game. Firstly, as a mobile match-free game with magic-making mechanics, sliced with story bits, then as a boss fighter with match 3 as mechanics, then as a platformer, then as a Metroidvania, and finally as an RPG. I failed miserably to deliver it, as it became the dream project. It comes to the point that sometimes I freeze. I'm terrified that it will never match my own vision, that there will always be something to add or polish, and I won't be able to justify the months, years of work. And I know how terrible it is. I don't want it to end up in the graveyard of unfinished projects. I realize now that this paralysis stems from gaps in my experience. I've underinvested in basically everything. User testing, actual game design, scope definition, business fundamentals, and release planning. I feel like I know now all the bits I need to make this a reality, so I will give myself time to do so in the future, but not as a project I rush to find funding for. I need to release the pressure I put on myself, because it cripples me and stops me from moving further. That's why I do it the indie way, in the shadows. I will focus on the gameplay, on the magical interactions, on making the reactive world, and if it will work, if it will be fun to play, I will playtest it with players to see if you like it. Only if this is confirmed on the actual content. With these hard-won lessons, looking ahead, I'm back on track with organizing yet another great game jam, finishing the platformer tutorial for default and focusing on making new videos for unfolding game dev. I enjoy making them and I hope to organize my tight schedule better, especially after recent months of chaos of everything all at once, so that I can make them regularly. Expect better quality, in-depth videos covering basics and advanced default topics, so keep your fingers crossed for me. So once again, thank you for all your patience. Huge shout out to my sponsors, I owe you and I promise to pay back with more videos coming. Thank you very much, thank you guys for watching, for sticking with me through this marathon update, and happy defaulting!